All right. Let's see what we're going to do here. All right, you guys. Getting the recording going here. So I'm getting fairly good at this. So it is, let me get my glasses here. It's amazing. It's amazing how being old changes some things. 8:59, okay. So we got 1 minute before we get started here. 8:59, I got the recording going for those who want to call in. If you want to call in, the phone number is 267-807-9574. That's 267-807-9574. And the phone number is excuse me, not the phone number. The access number is 988-173-pound. The phone number is 267-807-9574. Access code is 988-173-pound. So I'm going to go ahead and get started here. Looks like now. Okay. So I'm always gonna. I haven't got this down yet to a flow, but I'll get comfortable with it. The more we get into it, the more we keep repeating it. So for those who've just tuned in, if this is the first time you've really attended a live, I'm doing the live almost kind of like a radio show in the sense that I've already kind of got my own agenda of some things that I want to discuss. If you happen to tune in while I'm on, then great. If you don't, and if you happen to catch the recording afterwards, then that's great. I'm here in Maryland, broadcasting from Maryland. Some of you who are already part of our family from a subscriber standpoint, you know that I do some traveling all across the country. So I pop up in different states all the time doing some work out here. I'm in Maryland right now. And the last time we did a live, I was in Maryland. But this coming week, well, I'll get to that here in a second. Anyway, I'm in Maryland. So you're going to see me refer to my phone because rather than writing down, I just put stuff in my phone here for the things that I just want to touch on and talk about. So first of all, I want to thank all of you supporters, everyone that attends these lives. Whether you get a chance to watch the recording or whether you hop on live, or if you've never been on, but maybe you're subscribed to the channel, or sometimes people aren't subscribed to the channel, but they watch my videos. I know sometimes I watch a lot of people's videos on YouTube, and honestly, I don't even get a chance sometimes to subscribe to them. I'm so busy just watching them. So I get that too. I'm not naive to think that I'm no different. There's probably a bunch of people who've been watching my channel for a while and have yet to subscribe, although they've probably watched many of them. But either way, thank you, because I know that's a big deal to take time out of your day. My videos aren't typically short. They're anywhere from about 10, 15 minutes to push about an hour. Okay. So I know that's a commitment, and I appreciate that. So I want to say thank you for that, first of all. The other thing is, man, I really try to get by without my glasses when it comes to reading, but I guess it's time for me to go in for an appointment so I can see if they need to update my prescription or something. But I want to thank you because we're nearly at 1,000 subscribers. We're at like 790 subscribers or something. We keep inching up and inching up and inching up. You know what's so funny? How whenever you're doing something, it's like everything else seems to be a breeze until you get to that last little inch of something. No matter what it is, it's always like that last little bit seems like the worst, right? So I'm trying to get to 1,000 subscribers, and it's just like it's only like it's not that much. It's like 200, maybe 200 and something subscribers or something that was short of that. But just that last little bit, it's just gonna seem like it's gonna take forever. But anyway, that's all I wanted to mention. That's what we're trying to do is get to 1,000 subscribers, 4,000 watch hours. That's like the minimum for YouTube to get you monetized. We'll see what kind of games YouTube plays with me by the time I get there. You know, there's always special rules for conservatives, right? The past couple weeks, really past few weeks, has been like running a newsroom for me. I mean, I know I do political commentary, but now I really understand somewhat what it's like to run a newsroom, because you know how the news, they always say you have to hop on a story while it's hot. I kind of have a little bit of that, but then I'm still me in the sense that I don't always jump on things immediately. You know, there's certain things that you probably have yet to see me cover. Like you really have yet to see me cover anything on Ukraine, right? Although I'm perfectly aware of what's going on in Ukraine, but you really have yet to see me cover that. The reason that some things I hold off on is because I find some people, they jump. It's just like the news. Sometimes the news jumps on stuff so quick, and then you find out the news doesn't know what the hell they were talking about, right? And it's because they jumped on it, and there really wasn't anything to report. So they didn't know who did it, why they did it. If the story was fake, they don't know anything. So like with the Will Smith thing, everyone was hopping on it the first day. I don't think I said anything for like almost a week, and I was hearing it every day, but I was just waiting for some fallout, something else to come back. What was Chris going to sue? Just some more news, some things to come in, so I'd actually have something to talk about. Sometimes that's a bad thing to wait for a while. No, I shouldn't say it's a bad thing, but I mean, you feel like you're the last to the story. So I kind of get that, but then I feel like at least I'm more educated on what the subject is. But long story short, what I'm getting at is that I feel like the past few weeks, I was working on a story, or a show, I should say. I was working on a show, and then all of a sudden something happened that got the public's attention so much that I had to push the story or the show I was working on to the side, because I was working on the failed war on poverty. That's the show I was trying to work on at the time. And I was like, okay, I got to get this out. I got to get this out. I got to get this out. And then that morning that I woke up, when my wife was heading to work, she says, hey, when you get a chance, Google what happened to Google what Will Smith did. And I said, what Will Smith did? She said, yeah, just Google it. And then she left. And so I'm Googling it, and I'm like, what? Will Smith slapped somebody? And so, of course, the war on poverty got pushed to the side. So I was like, I got to say something about this. Now I can't let more than a week pass before I say something about it. And so then after all that, I put out the Will and Chris debacle story. And then I went back to the war on poverty, and I got it done. And then the next show that I was working on was an affirmative action piece. I got one now that's called The Truth About Affirmative Action. And then I was working on it and trying to get it out. And then I looked up, and Elon Musk bought Twitter. And it's like, oh, man. So now I pull the affirmative action off, and I'm like, I got to say something about this. And so now I put out the Elon Musk Twitter takeover, and I just put that out. And so now I'm right back to affirmative action. You see what I'm saying? So it kind of is like being in a newsroom, because you don't want too much time to pass, because you don't want to lose some of the momentum of what people's talking about. But then I don't want to jump on it so fast to the point that I don't know what I'm talking about, right? Anyway, it's been fun. This is an interesting hobby/business, right? Right now it's a hobby because I'm not getting paid anything, but it's still kind of cool. All right. So anyway, that's what I was saying about the newsroom thing. I've been learning so much. I think I told you last time that I got a friend of mine that's on here. When I used to teach real estate, he was actually one of the students that used to come to my office when I used to have a real estate sales office in Atlanta. But he was already in the music business, so he's got a channel on here. I don't know if I should plug him or not. I don't know if that's even appropriate, because it's totally different and it has nothing to do with politics. But he's in the music business anyway, and so he told me about some app that can kind of help me become more efficient with doing YouTube, naming videos, analytics, all that kind of stuff. So I've been tinkering with that stuff. So it's helping me be a little bit more thoughtful and efficient in the hobby. So that's kind of what I'm working on behind the scenes, is streamlining some things. It'll make it easier for you guys, make it easier for all of us in the future. The better I get with this stuff. But the other thing that I wanted to mention is that I met while I was out here. Just to give you something interesting. While I was out here, I saw this guy that came into one of the stores that I work at, and he came in with his wife. Asian couple came in with his wife, and I noticed she had her camera up. And so, for what I do when I'm out traveling, that's kind of customary. People are always trying to film stuff or whatever to say they were here and did certain things or whatever. Or, everybody now wants to get a picture for the gram, for Instagram or whatever. But anyway, I noticed she had a camera up for an extended period of time and it looked like a fancy camera. And so something told me to ask him, I'm like, do you have a YouTube channel? And he says, yeah, I got a YouTube channel. And so I said, okay. And I said, what's your channel name? And so he told me, and I wrote it down. And so I realized, of course, he was filming me talking to him the whole time. So I realized I'm going to be on his YouTube channel at some point. And so I asked him, I said, so when do you upload? And he said Friday, which is today. So now I'm thinking I'm going to look on his YouTube channel and see how I fit into his story, whatever it is that he's doing, right? So that's my goal now is today is to check his channel and find out what's going on. But here's the kicker. Here's the reason why I'm bringing it up. It's so funny. When I was talking to him, but he and his wife have a really strong accent. So I already can tell from talking to them that English isn't their first language. And so it dawned on me, I said, you know what? English isn't their first language. So probably their channel is probably not even going to be in English. And sure enough, I went to the channel and it's in all this writing and I can't tell what it is at all. And so I said, this is going to be interesting. So when he uploads a video with me in it, I won't have a clue what the hell he's saying about me. So he could be like, I was talking to this dude and this dude was so stupid, blah, 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 blah. And I wouldn't even know. And so I was like, how's this going to work? And so thank God for technology. Technology is so amazing. So I said, I got an idea. There's a closed caption that's at the bottom of videos. And if you ever notice, some of you may have not noticed, you probably don't have a reason to, but every single one of my videos are closed caption for the hearing impaired. So if you ever know anyone who has an interest in my videos, you may not have ever thought about it, but if you ever know anyone who has an interest in my videos, they're all closed captions. Okay. So anyway, I thought about how can I find out what this guy is saying. And so one thing I thought about was so I can hit closed caption and then translate it to English, right? And then I can find out what he's saying. But the other thing, and this is where my marketing comes into play, I was like, hey, because when I was talking to him, he also told me that he was a new YouTuber. He's been doing it for about a year. And he said he's got 33,000 subscribers, which is really extremely good for a year of being in it. And I told him, I was like, wow, that's awesome. I said, I don't even have 1,000 subscribers. So let me show you how my mind works. Because I did this before. I did this before on Twitter. I'll tell you how I did this. This is just me. This is my warm up few minutes where I just talk about some random stuff. Okay. Before I get into politics. But anyway, let me back up. Let me tell you why I'm thinking I'm going to do a marketing idea on YouTube and where that idea came from. Because this is something I did on Twitter. Back when Twitter first started, I mean, way when it first started, this is how long I've been on Twitter, okay? And if you've never followed me on Twitter, I'm on, my name is Rob the Speaker on Twitter. So if you've never followed me on Twitter before, just go to Rob the Speaker. But anyway, when Twitter was first getting started, nobody had a clue really how to do it. How do you get people to follow you? Everyone was just following people for the hell of following them. And then some people would follow you and then secretly unfollow you because everyone was doing this. If you follow me, I'll follow you thing. So some people would follow you. And then after you follow them, then they'd unfollow you. It was so stupid. But anyway, I'm going to tell you how I got subscribers, a bunch of followers one time by accident. And I learned something really interesting. This guy, I can't even remember his name, but he wrote a bunch of blogs. He had a bunch of blogs and different things subjects that he talked about. And I read one of his blogs because he had such a huge following. And one of them was talking about social media. And only thing I remember, I can't remember exactly what he said about social media, but only thing I recall is that I had a blog too. I just had nowhere near the amount of followers he had. But his blog, in other words, inspired me to write my own. So I read his, and then I went and wrote something saying that social media is not so social. And what I was trying to say at the time is, again, Twitter's changed quite a bit, but than what it was in the very beginning. But back then, it's almost like nobody was really talking to you. People were just marketing like, hey, click my website, click this, click that. And it really felt antisocial. Like really no one was there for a relationship. Everyone was just there to market something. And it was awkward. But anyway, I wrote a blog and it was called How Social Media is Actually Not So Social. And what I did, this was not well thought out. It's not like I thought of this genius plan. It just happened that way. And so when I wrote the blog and I said, this is interesting how everyone calls it social media, but yet we don't really talk to each other. And I went back to the guy who had these huge amount of followers. And I told him, I said, hey, you've got a good blog. I said, you inspired me to write one. And I said, it's on my website. And he looked over on my website. He read it. And what do you think he did? He liked it. he went right back to his followers and say, hey, Rob Lett's got a good blog on how social media is not so social. You should read it. And man, I'm telling you, the minute he said that, a bunch of people went over to my blog, read it, and then you could literally see my Twitter account, my follower account going boop, 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 boop. And I said, holy smokes. I was like, all of these marketing ideas that people try to do to get followers, and I get followers by accident from I try to come up with a name for the strategy. I think I called it piggybacking or something. I try to make up some name. I coined my own name because I called it piggybacking because I was piggybacking off of something that someone more popular than me did. Why did I tell you that story? I told you that story because that's my background and what I experienced on Twitter. And so when I met this guy that I'm talking about, who I later, after looking at the language on the screen, I later found out he's Vietnamese. I found it out because we're in such an environment now. Man, there's so much technology we have available to us. I went in this comment section and I copied one of the comments that someone wrote, and I didn't know what language it was in, so I pasted it in Google Translator, and I said, "Hey, what language is this?" And it came back and it said Vietnamese. So now here I go back to what I did marketing before, and I said, "You know what I'm going to do? As soon as that guy uploads the video with me in it, I'm going to do a version of the piggybacking thing I did before. He's got 33,000 subscribers. I don't have 1,000 yet. So what I'm going to do, as soon as he uploads the video, I'm going to say, hey, man, it was great to meet you, but I'm going to write it in Vietnamese. Now, of course, I don't know Vietnamese. Here comes the technology again. Since everyone there apparently speaks Vietnamese, it makes more sense for me to, when in Rome. So I typed up what I wanted to say in English. Google Translator translates it to Vietnamese. I'll post it on his comment section. And then when all his people read it, it will have the similar effect of what I did on Twitter. I'm hoping. Okay. Just mentioning that stuff. Okay. This is the nerdy side of me. Okay. But anyway, that's my world, right? That's my world, stuff I think about, right? I'm like, hey, this is cool. So I'm going to see if I can leverage that to where, because I think it's really cool. I like his channel. I just don't know what he's saying. So if I had an understanding of what he's saying, it'll be even better. But this will be a way for me to get those extra subscribers to get me past 1,000. But I'm waiting to see what happens today. So see, I said he uploads on Friday. All right. So anyway, that's me just talking about whatever, gobbledygook. All right. So what did I want to cover here? One thing I did want to say too is, when I roll out of here from Maryland, normally I have an awkward schedule where I work 10 days on, 10 days off sort of thing. But this time I'm kind of doing a back-to-back. So I won't, normally after I leave Maryland here, I'll be going back to Atlanta. And we would have been able to continue these Fridays at 9. But this next Friday, and obviously not today, but this next Friday, the next 2 Fridays, I'll be doing the lives like we're doing now, but they're going to be at midnight. Okay, because I'm going to be on the West Coast, and it just works out that the stuff that I'm finishing up, I won't be able to get to doing a live until 9 o'clock. That's why I always do these at 9 o'clock, because that's when I'm done with everything that I need to do. And so at 9 o'clock, but 9 o'clock West Coast time on the East Coast is midnight. So for those of you who are up at midnight, then you're more than welcome to join me. Like I said, I'm still going to keep the same format where I'm just covering whatever I cover, and you can hop in. Okay. All right. So here's what I want to discuss. So a couple things I want to discuss is, a bunch of people have been talking about the Elon Musk Twitter takeover, and me included, of course. Obviously you saw the show that I did, the Twitter takeover for Elon Musk. By the way, since I'm on here, for those who may join in, if you just join in, you got a choice always to either chat on the screen or call in. But if you want to call in, the phone number is 267-807-9574. The access code is 988-173#. Let me say that again. If you want to call in, I got something over here I could tell when people call in. You can dial 267-807-9574, and the access code is 988-173#. Okay. So what I wanted to discuss is, the fact that everyone's got so excited about Elon Musk and the takeover of Twitter, that I don't think some of us have thought through something. He doesn't really own Twitter. I mean, everyone's been talking about, hey, I'm excited. We took over Twitter and there's free speech and yada, yada, yada. And I mean, including the show that I uploaded, right? And then it dawned on me because, as I said, I used to teach real estate and I know how this works. When you're buying stuff by contract, just like if you're buying a property, remember when you sign a contract to buy the property, you still have a closing date, right? You you see it even when you drive through neighborhoods. It doesn't say, I mean, it does say house sold sometimes, but really what they mean to say is the house is under contract, right? So usually it says house under contract to let you know it's not quite sold yet, but there's somebody talking about it. And it dawned on me the other day that, a lot of people getting excited when really Elon Musk doesn't own Twitter yet. He's got it under contract. And I saw something about some terms of like $1 billion for if you default, or if one person defaults, whether Twitter defaults or he defaults, is like $1 billion penalty if either one of them defaults, something like that. But it's important to understand that Elon Musk doesn't own Twitter. It's actually under contract. So I think, if I remember, I saw some dates flying around. I think some of the dates that I saw fly around is that he has to come up with the money and funding and all that kind of stuff by sometime in October. And I don't know all the hoops and hurdles and different things they have to go through, but this has to be done by October. So by October. And I'm sure, I'd imagine, if it's anything how like real estate investing is, in real estate, I know before I buy a property, I want to do some inspections, right? I want to get a chance to walk through the property and make sure all these things work, the electrical system, the foundation, all that kind of stuff. So I imagine if you're going to spend $44 billion on something, it's probably kind of similar, right? I mean, you got people who work there who don't like you. Stands to reason somebody's probably, it's just like a house. If you had a tenant in there, in a place, and they didn't like the previous owner or the current landlord, I'd probably want to get a look inside that house and make sure that tenant hadn't tore some stuff up, right? Same thing here, because that's what it just dawned on me. I was like, wow, you know what? Everybody's getting excited, and Elon could very well back out, because I don't know how you do due diligence like that with a company when it comes to programming, because these are, computer programmers. They can put anything in code. I don't know how that would work. But anyway, that's one of the things I just wanted to mention and remind you, if you hadn't thought about this, is the fact that we all need to slow down and relax for a little bit, because technically the deal isn't done. Because I even look back on the video that I mentioned, the video that I made, and one of the first things that I said is that the Twitter takeover is complete. And when I thought about it, I really should have put like a little a little fine print on there, because it's actually not complete. Okay. And speaking of, since we're on the subject here of Elon Musk, one of the things I want to mention too is, and I don't know how many of you saw this, I'm going to start putting some of this stuff on my Twitter page too, so that if you want to, maybe if I've got visuals or something like that, maybe I can put stuff on Twitter and you can look at it when I'm talking about certain pictures. But one of the things that Elon posted, I don't know if he posted it today or yesterday, but he posted something and it was talking about the left, and it was really an interesting diagram. If you haven't seen it, if you follow me on Facebook, it's definitely on my wall. So if you don't follow me, because I don't think I posted it on Twitter, but on Facebook, I am Rob the Speaker also. So follow me on Facebook if you're not already on Facebook, because I definitely have it on the wall. But anyway, Elon Musk posted something, and he's been talking lately about the vitriol that he's been experiencing from the left, and how angry everyone from the left has been toward him. But anyway, he posted this picture, and it was a really interesting picture, and he was showing the left, and then he showed himself in the middle, and then he showed the people on the right. And what the diagram showed, I'm trying to do this as best I can without you having the picture in front of you, but what he showed was that he was a little bit left of center. So he didn't consider himself conservative. He's trying to show in the diagram that back in 2012, I'm just making up some dates now because I can't remember the years, but he was trying to show that way back in 2012 or something like that, that he was a little bit left of center, and the people on the left were his friends. I think he said, my fellow liberal. And then came, I don't know, 2016. Again, I'm making up some dates here. Sometime after that, it showed him still in the same spot, but his leftist friend was running further to the left. And then it showed Elon looking like he's closer to the center, right? And the person that's on the right is still there smiling, right? And then further, whatever the date that was, I don't know, I'll call it 2021. Then he finally shows somebody way, way to the left, and they're yelling at Elon and calling him a bigot. He was like, they're like, bigot. And at this point, he's showing that it looks like Elon is to the right of center. And here's the reason why I'm mentioning all this. I'm mentioning it because I've watched, it just came out just like a couple of days ago, and I've watched now a few people take that and turn it into something different. The one thing that is consistent, I posted on this too, but what I said was, which is accurate, what I said was, is this is a common complaint. I'm wondering if the left going to learn, is the left going to learn anything from this? Because they probably won't, because this is a common complaint that I hear from people all the time. The common complaint that I hear from people all the time that leave the left is they say, I didn't leave the party left me, right? You heard that from, I think it was Zell Miller back in the day. You heard that from Vernon Jones. You heard that from, who's another person? I mean, just everybody that ends up leaving, they have the same thing. I think even Ronald Reagan used to be a lefty at one point, but they all say, I didn't leave the party left me. And I don't know how they went left. All right. So crazy. But that was my take on it. I said, I've heard so many people complain, and the left has got a real problem because they're losing their people by going so far to the left that they sound crazy. But then on the right, conservatives, and I haven't watched this, I haven't watched anything on the news about it, but I saw a few things on Twitter. But conservatives are getting it wrong too. Because, and I had to go back and look at the image and realize what Elon was trying to say with the graphic, if you haven't seen this picture. But what conservatives have turned it into is, because Elon is, saying negative stuff about the left right now, conservatives have turned this into, haha, Elon's a conservative. He's on the right with us. He's a conservative. No, he's not. No, he's not. He didn't say that. And I had to go back and look at that diagram today, because I saw someone type something analyzing that diagram, and he never said he was a conservative at all. What Elon says in the diagram, he doesn't say it verbally, but if you look at it, what he's implying is, look at that diagram, you'll realize the person that's supposed to be Elon is in the middle. He's in the same spot all 3 years. He's in the same spot from the beginning and the end. He's in the same spot. What he's trying to tell you is, he's always been, if you want to call him leftist or whatever it is, he's always been that way. He hasn't changed. The goalpost that's been changing are the goalposts that the left has made. That's what he was trying to say. When he found himself looking like he's closer to the center, it's not that he changed. Look at the cartoon. He's in the same spot. He's trying to say that the left, because they dislike you now, they start telling you, oh, you're a sellout now. Like, I just saw something recently. I'm going to segue here for a second. I saw something recently where I just saw Brandon Tatum was talking about this. Anthony Brian Logan was talking about it too. They were talking about how Jamie Foxx took some of his friends down to Florida or something, and a bunch of Trump supporters down there. And anyway, when he got down there, it turns out that they were all cool. He thought it was going to be, trouble, because a bunch of guys down there, they're Trump supporters. But he said they had a great time, and he says this is what America's supposed to be. And I'm thinking in the back of my mind when I'm watching this, as soon as the left finds out that Jamie Foxx been hanging with some Trump supporters, that's probably the end of it. He's probably going to get chewed out. But that's what Elon Musk, that's the type of stuff Elon Musk is trying to say, is that as soon as the left finds out that you got a little bit of sympathy or a little bit of understanding for the right, they changed the goalpost on you. So he was trying to say, I was left of center, but before I knew it, after talking to some of the lefties, they had me feeling like I had moved closer to the center, but I hadn't moved at all. I was the same individual. And then when the left went all the way left, like 72 gender left, Then I felt like I was a right winger. That's what he's trying to say in the diagram, but he hadn't changed. So I've seen conservatives get it wrong because they're trying to make it sound like Elon's a conservative now and he loves us to death. He didn't even say he was a conservative. He didn't say he was a conservative. And even the diagram doesn't say he was a conservative. His diagram implies that he stayed in the same place and the left has totally changed everything. As a matter of fact, he posted a few things today. He posted some things today. He did say something about that the left hates themselves. So he is getting pretty rough on the left. I will say that. But anyway, so there's something else I wanted to kind of go through here in regards to Musk's political tweet. Shortly after, hold on a second. Okay, so I went through what it meant. So shortly after, one of the big things that you will see, or if you hadn't heard of already, but Biden has just come out with hold on, let me make sure I get the phrase right here. Biden just announced a new Ministry of Truth. What the heck is that? I see, I don't know if Eric is still on here. I see he typed in Reagan. But Biden has just he's just added a new Ministry of Truth, some lady named Nina Jankowicz. This is kind of scary because when he announced a new Ministry of Truth, some person who's supposed to be in charge of what the truth is, I guess she's supposed to be in charge of disinformation or misinformation. What's scary about that is this is what dictators do. Dictators appoint someone who now their job is to determine what the truth is and what is a lie. This is going to be interesting. Now, Tulsi Gabbard actually made a video, and I'm going to play this for you here because Tulsi Gabbard made a video. All right, I'll let you listen to this. Let me see if I can put this on speaker. Right. I need to take this off of speaker here. Let me see how I can do this. All right, so hopefully you'll be able to hear this. I'm going to play some audio from Tulsi Gabbard. This was on Twitter about this new Ministry of Truth.
This is the kind of thing that you see in dictatorships.
Shucks.
Ministry of Truth, this Department of Propaganda that the Biden administration.
You guys can't hear this at all.
And the reason why you see this in dictatorships is because they're afraid of us. They're afraid of the people. They're might actually themselves. And so now they've created this.
Why did this sound so much louder?
Two things. Number one, it'll use taxpayer dollars to work through the mainstream media and flood the airwaves.
Hold on.
Their propaganda narrative is that they're pushing it at any given time and try to drown out anyone with alternate views. And number two,
yeah, I already got it on speaker.
Dissenting voices
I'm not going to be able to play it. I can play it, but it's not loud enough for you guys to hear. So let me go back to, let me close out of it. So anyway, look on Twitter under Tulsi Gabbard. Look on the Twitter under Tulsi Gabbard, and you'll see under Tulsi Gabbard, she's got a video out there talking about the fact that when dictators take power, one of the things that they do is they actually appoint someone who's really a propaganda person. And that's basically what Biden just did. Her name is Nina Jankowicz. That's Nina, and spell Jankowicz, Jankowicz. So look up that. It's supposed to be the new Ministry of Truth. But this is really scary stuff. Watching it in real time, I've already heard. DeSantis never misses a beat here, right? So I've already heard that DeSantis has got something to say about this and protesting it. She's supposed to be, I guess, the censorship person in the Department of Homeland Security a few days after. And the timing is what's really weird about this. This is a few days right after Twitter accepts Musk's offer on Twitter. This is when Biden comes up with this. So it almost looks like it's in retaliation for Twitter, for Musk buying Twitter. And so they're going to come up with some sort of they're going to come up with some BS to try to keep him from having free speech is basically what I'm thinking that they're going to do, and under the guise of Homeland Security, which falls right in line, by the way. If you watch my video, it falls right in line with exactly what I said before about what's going to come after if this closing actually does go through and Elon does end up owning Twitter. If you watch in my video about some of my predictions, that's one of the things I said. I said they're going to do everything to try to destroy him because he owns Twitter, including calling him to Washington a bunch of times, all kind of stuff. And so this looks like one step in that direction, unfortunately, with this minister of truth, whatever the heck that means. Okay. So another thing that I got here is our current inflation rate. Our current inflation rate is 8.5%. 8.5%. So I remember back when they were talking about this inflation rate being transitory, like it was going to be something that would just be a pass through. And then, it's up for a little while, but it should level out and everything. It's not leveling out. It's going up. It's going higher. It's going higher. So all of the stuff that people are stressed out about when it comes to groceries, when it comes to their day-to-day living. I've been meaning to, I should post it in I'll probably post it in one of the videos when I'm talking about things that have gone up in price. But there was one time there when I went to the airport, because I go back and forth to the airport regularly, and I usually catch like a Lyft. And I know about what the Lyft costs. It's usually about $50 or $60 consistently back and forth to the airport. But one day I was coming from the airport, same trip, and I looked, and the bill was like $185 something. Now I don't have to pay it; the company pays it and everything. But still, I mean, I know the difference between $50, $60 and $185. And I looked up, and the bill was $185. And I had to look down and check. I'm like, did I pick a Cadillac or something? Did I pick some exclusive vehicle to pick me up? Maybe I pressed the wrong button. And I looked down, and I saw in the fine print that it said now it includes some kind of fuel surcharge or something. And I was like, oh, wow. So I don't know, it was like 55 cents a mile or something, but it made a big, big difference. And all I'm just saying is, unfortunately, we're going to be in this for a while. It's going to be worse because the inflation rate is 8.5% now. And I don't have it in front of me, but I know back when Trump was in office, we were way, way less. It's like one something. So for all of you, who are out there who are still hardcore lefties, still voting Democrat till you die sort of thing, this isn't a matter of opinion anymore. This is not a matter of opinion. This is data. You don't argue with math, right? And unfortunately, I'm sorry. I mean, everyone knows now, the secret's out, that this is the worst inflation rate we've had in 40 years or nearly 40 years. I did a video on this, a show on this about inflation under Biden. I can't remember what the title is, but look up. There's only a couple of my videos that's got Biden in the title, but it's going to be rough for a while. So that's mainly all I wanted to say about that, is that we're currently at 8.5% inflation. I wanted to say something here about the Georgia governor race. By the way, I see a couple people that's jumping in here sometime, jumping in on the screen, or et cetera. If you guys want to type anything, I saw just one, Eric. I appreciate Eric joined in, type Reagan on the screen. But I was going to say, if you guys want to chime in and ask anything or say anything, you're perfectly willing to, or you could call in. But anyway, I wanted to say something about the Georgia governor race, because I really don't like having to say "I told you so." I did a little skit for, remember Dave Chappelle's Educated Guesses, when he was doing the Cleo "Calling Me Now" thing, whatever. I did a little skit on my show, the last show on Elon Musk, where I just did some educated guesses, and I just did that because I was so right on the last one. Last year, there's a video out there that says, "Slow down, Vernon, we don't know you." And what I was trying to say in that video, because someone asked me about it today, what I was trying to say in that video was that, look, everyone is so excited to see another person leave the left, and that's good. I like to see people leave the left too. But what I was trying to point out in that video that made me nervous is, I said, everyone is celebrating Vernon Jones leaving the left, and now he's big Trump supporter. He was body surfing, doing all this stuff in the crowd, and I was cool with it until I saw what his goals were. His goals is that he wanted to run against Brian Kemp, Republican governor of Georgia. And all I pointed out in that video, and you can go back and watch this video, it's almost a year old now. I think I made it in August of last year. But all I pointed out was I used a couple of Democrats from other states as a barometer to show you what I'm talking about. I said, okay, here's a Democrat who left the Democrat Party and became a Republican. And then when they ran against a Democrat. It makes total sense. If you call yourself a new Republican now, run against a Democrat and keep those people from getting in office, right? All those made sense. And then when I got to Vernon Jones, I said, now here's what's so odd about Vernon Jones. He's a Democrat who's running as a Republican, and he's going to unseat another Republican. And I'm like, I got a problem with that. I got a problem with that because you were just a Democrat yesterday. I'm not sold yet just because you did body surfing one time. You just can't come over here and all of a sudden say, yeah, I'm a Republican. Let me pull your Republican out of office. I'm not shallow like that. You got to be around for a while. You got to be, I need to hear you talk some more. I don't want to know that you just learned a few buzzwords and now you want to unseat a Republican governor. Run against a Democrat. Then I got time to see if you really are a conservative. If I'm going to vote for you over that Democrat, because I ain't voting for a Democrat, so you definitely got my vote. But if you're putting me in a position where I got to choose between a Republican that I know and a person who says they're a Republican, you ain't getting my vote. And that's what I said in the video. And that's what people, and I caught hell about it because everybody this was fresh off the election. So off the election last year. So everyone was mad at Brian Kemp and all this stuff. And all I just said is, listen, I didn't say I didn't like Vernon Jones. I like Vernon Jones. All I'm just saying is if you're going to make me choose between another Republican, you ain't getting my vote because I don't trust you like that yet. That's why I labeled it, slow down, Vernon. You ain't like that. And just so happens, here we are a year later. If you look at who the conservative candidates are for governor, they don't even mention Vernon Jones. I told you. Back then, Vernon was 100% sure he'd have Trump's vote. He was 100% sure he'd have Trump's back and ain't no way he can lose. And I said, I'm telling you, watch this. A bunch of people probably think just like I do. And anybody who is backing him, a big name like Trump or whatever, they'll probably back away from it. And before you knew it, they had tossed Vernon Jones to the side and they slid Sonny Perdue in there. And they said, oh, it's going to be Kemp versus Sonny Perdue. And it's like, Vernon who? Oh, yeah. And that dude. Ain't nobody checking for Vernon. Sorry. So for all of you who've been blowing up my comment section, and all of you who was disliking my videos back when you had the dislike button and all that stuff, all of you who was saying all this stuff, now you got to come back and say, guess you were right, Rob. Yep, told you. So I made some new predictions in that at the end of that Elon Musk video. Like, again, I don't hate Vernon, just spitting some facts. Okay. So here's the last thing. Unfortunately, I can't really tell you much more about this last thing that I'm going to mention here other than the name of the movie. On Twitter, Dinesh DeSouza has mentioned that he's got a new movie that's coming out. It's called 2000 Mules. So I'm not going to say what it's about because YouTube, unfortunately, isn't like Twitter. They are not considered a free speech zone for me. So I am careful what I say on Twitter. So all I'm going to say is go to 2000mules.com, M-U-L-E-S, just like mules, that you ride on, right? But I've already seen it on Twitter. I've already seen what the trailer is, and it's pretty shocking. A little bit of the trailer that I saw. I'm a little bit bummed out because I saw that Dinesh and a few other people, Charlie Kirk, I think they're going to be on tour for some screenings of 2000 Mules, and they're going to be coming through Atlanta, but they're coming through Atlanta on the weekend that I'm not going to be there. And so I'm like, man, I would have really loved to be there. But if you hadn't checked it out, go to the site, take a look at it. I don't know. I've heard Erik Erikson's view on this, and I'm talking around it, so I know you still don't have a clue what I'm talking about. But when you watch it, you'll see it'll make sense. Then come back here. But I've heard Erik Erikson's view on this, and all he says is conservatives are overblowing it, and it didn't happen, and it was just some some stuff that happened in the courts or whatever. But I don't know. from what I'm seeing in that movie trailer, it's going to be something devastating come November for the midterms. So check that out, 2,000 Mules. But that's all I got. If you wanted to chat anything on the screen, I'm about to sign off here. Like I said, I saw a few people that were on and off, people kind of bouncing in and out. Most likely people watched the recording. So I totally get that. But I'm going to sign off here. If anything you guys you want to add, anything that you'd like to see, let me know, or type it at the end of the comment section. That's all I'm going to be doing. I'm just going to make this the regular news thing that I do on Friday to kind of capture some of the things in the week that passed by, just in case people don't get a chance to follow everything on all these different social media outlets like I do. So I scour them enough to kind of get you up to date on what's going on, but look at it from a conservative standpoint. All right. So that's it for today. You guys have an awesome week, and I will see you next Friday. Oh, I am almost done with the affirmative action piece. Let me see. Someone's typing. All right. Thanks, Rob. Cool, Eric. Oh, you still are on. I thought you were gone. Cool. All right. So, yeah, I'm going to finish up my affirmative action piece. I should have that done probably the next couple of days or so if Elon doesn't get locked up or something crazy. All right. You guys have an awesome night. I'll see you next time. Thanks, Eric.